Welcome to Master Reading English. Before we begin, I want you to know that I'll be speaking at a slower, more deliberate pace throughout this video. This way, you can read along with the text on your screen, absorb every word, and master your English reading skills while learning something powerful about life. Take your time. Pause when you need to. Reread sentences that resonate with you. This video is designed not just to teach you about boundaries and self-respect, but to help you become a more confident English reader. Now, let's begin. Your kindness is a gift, but somewhere along the way it became a burden. You give and give, yet you feel emptier with each act of generosity. Here's what nobody tells you. Kindness without boundaries isn't kindness at all. It's self-destruction dressed up as virtue. Think about this. That person who only calls when they need something. That friend who vanishes after you help them. That colleague who takes credit for your work. You saw the pattern. You felt the sting. But you stayed kind because that's who you are. But here's the brutal truth. Being used isn't a side effect of kindness. It's what happens when you mistake being nice for being good. In the next 20 minutes, you'll discover why your greatest strength became your biggest weakness. And more importantly, how to reclaim your kindness without losing yourself. This isn't about becoming cold or selfish. This is about understanding that protecting your energy is the most generous thing you can do, because a depleted person helps no one. Chapter 1. The Psychology of Being Used. Let's start with something uncomfortable. People don't use you by accident. They use you because you taught them they could. Every time you said yes when you meant no, you sent a signal. Every time you stayed silent when something bothered you, you gave permission. Your silence became their green light. But why do kind people get targeted? Because takers have a radar for givers. They can spot someone who won't push back, someone who fears conflict more than exploitation, someone who believes that setting boundaries makes them a bad person. There's a psychological principle at work here. It's called the reciprocity imbalance. In healthy relationships, giving flows both ways. Sometimes you give more, sometimes they do. It balances over time. But in toxic dynamics, you're always the giver. They're always the taker. And somehow, you're the one who feels guilty about it. Here's what's really happening in your brain. You've confused your self-worth with your usefulness. Deep down, you believe that if you stop being helpful, people will stop caring about you. So you keep giving, hoping that one day they'll give back. One day they'll see your value. One day they'll appreciate you. But that day never comes, because people don't value what costs them nothing. They respect what you protect, not what you sacrifice. The painful truth is this. Every person using you right now is answering a question you're afraid to ask yourself. What happens if I stop being useful? Who stays when I have nothing left to give? That fear keeps you trapped in a cycle of exploitation. Let's talk about what being used actually costs you. It's not just your time or your money. It's something far more precious. First, there's the energy drain. Every one-sided relationship is a leak in your life force. You wake up tired, you feel resentful, you snap at people who actually deserve your kindness. The wrong people are stealing energy meant for the right ones. Then there's the opportunity cost. Every hour spent helping someone who won't help themselves is an hour stolen from your own growth, your own dreams, your own family. You're so busy being everyone's backup plan that you've become a stranger to your own priorities. But here's the deepest cost. Being used kills your ability to trust, not just others, but yourself. You start doubting your judgment. You second-guess your instincts. You knew something was off, but you ignored it. Now you can't tell the difference between genuine need and manipulation. There's also the identity crisis. You've built your entire sense of self around being helpful, being the reliable one, being the person who never says no. But who are you when you're not being used? You don't even know anymore. And let's talk about the resentment that builds. You smile on the outside while anger festers within. You hate them for using you, but you hate yourself more for allowing it. This internal conflict is exhausting. It's like carrying a backpack filled with rocks that gets heavier every single day. Here's something nobody mentions. Being used doesn't just affect you. It affects everyone you genuinely care about. Your real friends get less of you. Your family gets the exhausted version. Your dreams get whatever scraps of energy remain. The takers are robbing the people who actually deserve your kindness. The question isn't whether being used has a cost. The question is whether you're willing to keep paying it. You know you're being used, so why can't you just walk away? Let's unpack the invisible chains that keep good people trapped in bad situations. First, there's the sunk cost fallacy. You've already invested so much time, so much energy, so much of yourself. Walking away now feels like admitting it was all wasted. So you stay, hoping your investment will somehow pay off. But here's the truth. You can't get back what you've already given. You can only stop giving more. Then there's conflict avoidance. Kind people often hate confrontation more than they hate being used. Setting a boundary means having an uncomfortable conversation. It means potentially hurting someone's feelings. It means risking the relationship. So you stay silent, and the cycle continues. But here's the real trap. You believe that your kindness will eventually change them. If you just give a little more, care a little harder, be a little more patient, they'll finally see your worth. They'll finally reciprocate. They'll finally change. But transformation doesn't work that way. People don't change because you're kind to them. They change when their current behavior stops working. As long as using you gets them what they want, why would they stop? There's also the identity investment. You've told yourself a story. You're the helpful one, the dependable one, the person who never gives up on others. This story feels noble. It feels righteous, but it's actually a prison. You're not loyal. You're stuck. There's a difference. And then there's the fear that stops most people from setting boundaries. The fear that if you stop being useful, you'll be alone. That people only want you for what you provide. That your value lies in what you do, not who you are. This fear runs deep. Maybe you learned early that love was conditional. That approval had to be earned. That being good meant being selfless. So you keep performing, keep proving, keep sacrificing, hoping that one day you'll finally be enough. But here's what you need to understand. Anyone who leaves because you set boundaries was only there for what they could take. And losing takers isn't loss. It's liberation. Kindness without standards isn't kindness. It's weakness disguised as virtue. Let's be clear about what real kindness actually looks like. True kindness is strategic. It goes where it can create real impact, not where it gets exploited. It helps people rise, not enables them to stay stuck. It empowers, not coddles. Real kindness sometimes says no, because that's what the other person actually needs. But what you're doing isn't kindness, it's people-pleasing. And there's a massive difference. Kindness comes from fullness. You give because you have abundance to share. People-pleasing comes from emptiness. You give because you're trying to earn something. Approval, acceptance, love, validation. Kindness has boundaries. It knows its limits. It protects its energy so it can give more effectively. People-pleasing has no boundaries. It gives until there's nothing left, then feels resentful when others don't reciprocate. Here's a powerful distinction. Kindness asks, how can I genuinely help this person grow? People-pleasing asks, how can I make this person like me? The first creates value. The second creates dependence. Real kindness is also selective. You can't save everyone. You can't fix everyone. You can't be everything to everyone. Trying to do so doesn't make you kind. It makes you scattered, ineffective, and eventually bitter. Think about it this way. A doctor doesn't treat every patient the same way. They diagnose, then prescribe the appropriate treatment. Your kindness should work the same way. Some people need your help. Others need tough love. Others need to be allowed to face the consequences of their choices. Here's what strong, kind people understand. Boundaries aren't walls. They're gates. They let the right people in and keep the wrong people out. They protect your ability to give by ensuring you're not running on empty. And here's the truth that might sting. If someone gets upset when you set a boundary, they weren't enjoying your kindness. They were exploiting your weakness. Healthy people respect boundaries. Toxic people punish them. Real kindness requires courage. The courage to disappoint. The courage to let people be unhappy with you. The courage to prioritize your well-being even when others call it selfish. Because you can't pour from an empty cup isn't just a cliche. It's a survival principle. Let's talk about how to spot the people who are using you. Because once you see the patterns, you can't unsee them. First, there's the crisis manufacturer. Their life is always falling apart. Always. They need you now. It's urgent. It's an emergency. But somehow, their crises never end. They solve one problem only to create another. You're not helping them, you're enabling their chaos. Then there's the fair weather friend. They're around when life is good or when they need something. But when you need them, suddenly they're busy. Suddenly they have problems of their own. Suddenly they disappear. Real friends show up in both seasons. Users only show up for harvest. Watch for the emotional vampire. Every conversation becomes about them, their problems, their drama, their needs. They ask how you are, but they're not really listening. They're just waiting for their turn to talk again. You leave every interaction feeling drained because they took everything and gave nothing back. There's also the guilt tripper. They weaponize your kindness against you. After everything I did for you, I thought you were different. I guess I can't count on you. They know exactly which buttons to push because you let them install those buttons in the first place. Pay attention to the scorekeeper. But I did this for you. Remember when I helped you with that? They keep a mental ledger of every favor, every kindness, every gesture. Real giving doesn't keep score. Manipulation does. Here's a simple test. The reciprocity check. Think about the last 5 times you interacted with this person. How many times were you giving? How many times were they? If it's 5-0, you're not in a relationship. You're in a transaction, and you're getting the bad end of the deal. Another pattern, the inconsistent appreciator. When you say yes, you're amazing, wonderful, the best. When you say no, suddenly you're selfish, unreliable, not who they thought you were. Your value to them is based entirely on your usefulness. That's not respect, that's exploitation. And watch for the boundary tester. You set a limit, they push against it. You hold firm, they push harder. They're training you to give up on your boundaries because maintaining them is more exhausting than giving in. Don't let them win this game. The patterns are there. You've seen them. You've felt them. The question is, are you finally ready to trust what you know? Setting boundaries doesn't make you mean. It makes you honest. Here's how to do it without losing yourself in the process. Start with clarity. Get crystal clear on what you will and won't accept. Not what you think you should accept. Not what others expect you to accept. What you actually need to protect your peace, your energy, your well-being. Write it down. Make it concrete. Then comes communication. This is where most people fail. They hint, they imply, they hope the other person will just figure it out. But boundaries don't work through telepathy. You have to use your words. Here's a framework. State the behavior, explain the impact, set the boundary. Make it clear and non-negotiable. No long explanations, no justifications, no apologies. When you call at midnight, it disrupts my sleep. I need you to reach out between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. unless it's a genuine emergency. Simple, direct, firm. Expect pushback. Boundary testing is inevitable. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries will resist your new ones. They'll call you selfish. They'll guilt trip you. They'll tell you you've changed. You have changed. That's the point. Here's how to handle resistance. Don't argue. Don't defend. Don't explain further. Simply restate the boundary. I understand you're upset, but this is what I need. Repeat as necessary. Eventually, they'll either respect your boundary or remove themselves. Either outcome is a win. Practice the power of no. Complete sentences, no, I can't. That doesn't work for me. I'm not available. You don't need to explain why. No is a complete answer. The more you justify, the more ammunition you give them to argue. But here's the crucial part. Consequences. Boundaries without consequences are suggestions. If someone violates your boundary, there must be a response. Maybe it's ending the conversation. Maybe it's limiting contact. Maybe it's ending the relationship entirely. Whatever you choose, follow through. Otherwise, your boundaries mean nothing. Start small if you need to. You don't have to set every boundary at once. Pick one person, one situation, one area of your life. Master that before expanding. Small wins build confidence for bigger ones. And remember this, boundaries are for you, not them. You set boundaries to protect your energy, not to punish others. You maintain boundaries to preserve your peace, not to control their behavior. The goal isn't to change them. It's to stop letting them drain you. Finally, get comfortable with people being disappointed in you. Not angry, not hurt, just disappointed. That's the price of self-respect, and it's a price worth paying. Let's address the emotion that keeps most kind people trapped. Guilt. That gnawing feeling that setting boundaries makes you a bad person. Here's what you need to understand about guilt. It's supposed to guide you when you've actually done something wrong. But you've trained your guilt to activate even when you're doing something right. Setting a boundary isn't wrong. Protecting your energy isn't selfish. Saying no isn't cruel. There's healthy guilt and toxic guilt. Healthy guilt says you hurt someone unnecessarily and you should make it right. Toxic guilt says you're responsible for everyone's feelings and everyone's problems. Healthy guilt is a compass. Toxic guilt is a cage. Most people carrying toxic guilt learned it early. Maybe you grew up in a household where your needs came last. Maybe you were praised for being selfless and criticized for being selfish. Maybe love was conditional on how much you gave, so you developed a belief system: my needs don't matter as much as others' needs. Taking care of myself is selfish. I'm only valuable when I'm useful. These beliefs are lies, but they feel true because you've believed them for so long. Unlearning them takes work. It takes consciously catching the guilty thoughts and challenging them. Is this true? Is it really selfish to protect my peace? Would I judge a friend harshly for doing what I'm doing? Here's a reframe that helps. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you're lying. You're being dishonest about your capacity, your feelings, your needs. Real integrity means your words match your truth. Saying no when you mean no is actually the more honest, more honorable choice. And let's talk about the manipulation of guilt. Some people will deliberately try to make you feel guilty for having boundaries. They do this because guilt worked before. It got them what they wanted. Your guilt is their leverage. Don't hand them the weapon. When someone tries to guilt you, recognize it for what it is. It's not love. It's not friendship. It's control. And you don't have to accept it. You can acknowledge their feelings without taking responsibility for them. I understand you're disappointed. I'm still not able to do this. Here's the ultimate truth about guilt. You're going to feel it sometimes when you set boundaries. That's normal. That's your old programming running. But feelings aren't facts. You can feel guilty and still do the right thing. The guilt doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're growing. And growth is uncomfortable. Over time, as you practice boundaries, the guilt will fade. It will be replaced by something better: self-respect. You've given so much for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to be full. Let's talk about how to rebuild what's been depleted. First, take inventory. Who and what actually drains you? Not who should drain you or who you think drains you. Who actually leaves you feeling empty? Make a list. Be honest. This isn't about judging them. It's about protecting yourself. Then, create space. You don't have to cut everyone off immediately. Start with distance. Slow down your response time. Become less available. See what happens when you're not constantly accessible. Real relationships survive this. Transactional ones don't. Here's a powerful practice: energy auditing. For 1 week, notice how you feel after every interaction. Energized or drained? Valued or used? Happy or resentful? Your energy doesn't lie. Trust what your body is telling you. Now, redirect that energy. All that time and effort you were giving to people who didn't value it, give it to yourself, to your health, to your dreams, to your real relationships, to your growth. Watch how quickly your life improves when your energy flows to the right places. Build what I call your energy reserves. These are the practices and people that fill you up. Morning routines that center you, hobbies that excite you, friends who reciprocate, activities that restore you. These aren't luxuries, they're necessities. You can't give from an empty tank. And here's something counterintuitive. Doing less often accomplishes more. When you stop wasting energy on takers, you have more energy for what actually matters. Quality over quantity. Impact over activity. Depth over breadth. Practice the art of strategic giving. Give where it multiplies. Give to people who use your help to grow, not to stay stuck. Give to causes that matter. Give in ways that create ripples. Your generosity becomes exponentially more powerful when it's focused, not scattered. Remember this principle. You can't serve from an empty vessel. The most generous thing you can do is ensure you're operating from abundance, not depletion. That means sometimes the most generous act is saying no. Sometimes the kindest thing is protecting your energy. Sometimes the best help is letting people solve their own problems. Your kindness is not the problem. Your lack of standards is. It's time to establish a new way of being in the world. Here's your new standard. You give generously to those who value it. You set boundaries firmly with those who don't. You understand that protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's sacred. You know that being kind doesn't mean being available to everyone for everything all the time. You've learned that people will treat you exactly how you teach them to treat you. Every boundary you maintain is a lesson. Every time you say no, you're showing them your worth isn't negotiable. Remember this. Some people will be upset when you change. Let them. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. You're not here to be everyone's doormat dressed up as their savior. You're here to live a life that honors your worth. Your kindness is a gift, not an obligation. You get to choose who receives it. You get to decide where it goes. You get to protect it from those who would exploit it. The people who truly deserve your kindness will respect your boundaries. They'll appreciate your generosity because they don't take it for granted. They'll give back because that's what healthy relationships do. And here's what happens when you finally set boundaries. Some people leave. Good. They were only there for what they could take. Some people adjust. Better. They're learning to value you properly. Some people stay and deepen the relationship. Best. These are your people. You're not responsible for everyone's happiness. You're not obligated to sacrifice yourself so others can stay comfortable. You're not required to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Be kind, but be strong. Be generous, but be selective. Be compassionate, but be boundaried. This is how kind people protect their ability to remain kind. Your energy is sacred. Your time is precious. Your peace is priceless. Protect them fiercely. Give them wisely. Never apologize for knowing your worth. The version of you that tolerates being used, that person is retiring. The new you understands that self-respect and kindness aren't opposites. They're partners. This is your life. Take it back.